What's going on, property hustlers? My name is Pin. Today we're going to be talking about how to calculate numbers on a flip project. My team is actually doing a lot of flip projects in Hamilton and Burlington, Ontario. And lately we've been asked a lot of questions about how we actually calculate the numbers, the hidden fees, and how we calculate the ROI. So today we're going to dive right into it, use some actual numbers so that you can see exactly how we break down the numbers. Before we jump right into it, let's make a couple assumptions to make the numbers a little easier to calculate and for you to follow. Number one is ARV, the after repair value. Whenever we acquire a property, we want to aim for $1 million, in this case, that we want to sell and then profit from the project. The renovation fee, obviously this really depends on the situation, but let's make an assumption that it only requires $100,000 to renovate the property. So now I'm going to give you a scenario and I'm going to create a formula so that you can literally just plug in your numbers at the end of this video to figure out your true ROI. So now, for the very first thing being a real estate investor is that you need to kind of figure out exactly how much your project will sell for after repair value. So this is the ARV, after repair value in our current scenario is $1 million. For the renovation, you need to be very precise and accurate with how much you want to budget for renovation. Don't over budget, don't under budget. 100K is what we're going to use in this case. So now we have two assumptions here. ARV, $1 million, this is what we're aiming to sell for, and the renovation is 100K. Now, what is going to be the additional cost that you need to budget? So let's look at the timeline a little bit. From the very beginning, where you acquire this project, okay, there's going to be a closing fee that a lot of investors actually forget to include. So closing fee includes your lawyer's fee and land transfer tax. Okay, so for property that you're going to sell for $1 million, usually what we do is that we will budget about like $20,000. So this will really depend on who you use and where you are, because the 20K can really fluctuate a little bit. Some people might be able to get it down to 15K, but that's just a conservative number, 20,000 here. Now, as you're going through the entire project, what's next? The next thing that you want to pay attention to is the carrying cost. Carrying costs includes the TMI, tax, maintenance, insurance, as well as utilities, and the most important thing is your mortgage payment. The mortgage payment is one thing that we usually pay a lot of attention to because this will really chew up your margin. So let's use the number here. Let's start with the mortgage. If we use $3,000 per month, okay, for your mortgage, and let's say this flip takes you about 6 months to complete, to finish renovating, to list it for sale, and you still need to wait until closing. Let's say the entire time period is actually 6 months. So mortgage, you need to use 3K times 6 months. That'll give you 18K, additional 18K that you need to budget. So that's one, and tax, maintenance, insurance. So in this case, you're going to be budgeting everything in renovation. So there's no tenants, there's no maintenance fee, so you can actually assume this to be zero. Tax, depending on where you are, in Hamilton, Ontario, we typically budget $450 per month that we need to budget for. Insurance, we do $200 per month. So this adds up to be $650 per month. And by the way, that's $650 per month. You still need to times 6 months for the entire carrying cost, and that's going to add up to be $3,900 for the entire project. After mortgage, TMI, you still have the utilities that you need to budget for. Utility is not free. And for utilities, usually we include gas, hydro, water. Those are not free, and usually we budget for about like $200 for a vacant unit. And again, don't forget to times by 6, so 200 times 6, that'll give you $1,200 extra expense that you need to budget for. So if we add this all up, this is going to be 18K plus 3.9K plus 1.2K, and that's going to give you 18 plus 3.9 plus 1.2, that's 23.1K. Okay, that's the additional expense that you still need to budget so that you're not running out of funds while you're doing the renovation. Now the last part is when you're selling the property. Selling the property, depending on how you're doing it, you might be doing the staging by yourself. Usually we recommend to find a realtor who can do this part for you so that you don't have to pay out of your pocket. Now on the sale, you will always need to budget 4.5%. In some area, it could be 5, 6, 7%, but in GTA, Ontario, like Hamilton and Burlington specifically, it's 4.5%. And don't forget, you also need to pay the HST. So when we're doing the $1 million, let's say this is what we can actually sell for. $1 million times 4.5 is 45,000. 45,000, you also need to plus the HST, which is 13%. And that's going to give you 45 times 1.13, sorry. It's 50.85K. It's additional fee that's going to trim your margin. On top of that, don't forget your lawyer. They're going to charge you 2 to 3K. In some cases, it could be 4,000 depending on the complexity of the sales. So let's be conservative. 5,000 is another closing fee that you need to pay for. So this is a realtor. Okay, and that's going to give you 50.85 plus 5, so 55.85. Now guys, let's pay attention to this. Outside of that 100K, a lot of people actually stop right here thinking that, oh, well, I'm trying to sell for the project for $1 million and my expense is only 100K. So if I can get a property for 800,000, I make it 100K. That's what a lot of beginner investors would be calculating the number. But if you look at our breakdown here, you got 20K here that you need to budget for, 23.1 for all the carrying costs plus the mortgage. And then this is the part where a lot of people forget, which is the realtor fee, 55.85. If you add these three numbers up, that's going to give you additional 98.95K in expense. Okay, so outside of this, you need to add additional 98.95K. So if you got your property for 800K, you pretty much just break even. So when we're calculating the numbers and profits, we always want to also add a profit in here. So in this case, this is other expense. Okay, and then your profit, which is going to be, let's say, in this case, you do want to make 50K for yourself, okay, as a real estate investor. So now you really need to make sure that you're getting your property under, so this is $1 million minus 100K minus the other expenses here, and then less than the profit, because you need to make sure this is part of your expense because that's your pay to yourself. You need to be getting your property under 751,000 in order to make that 50K. And that's why a lot of times when our team is calculating the numbers, before we even acquire the property, we need to make sure we're landing a project at anywhere between 70 to 75% of ARV. Okay, if we can get it lower, we make more money, but usually this is the indicator that we're using to ensure that the project is profitable. Another point to make is that I want you guys to understand this is based on the A lender, because there's no lender's fee, there's no additional cost that you need to pay for your lender. Sometimes if let's say if you own multiple properties already and then your credit has maxed out to the A lender, now you need to go to B lender or private lender. There might be additional costs that you need to budget in here, which can run you up to maybe 30 to 35,000 extra. Okay, so this is something that you as a real estate investor needs to kind of figure out. But this doesn't change the entire formula, which is a closing fee, the carrying cost, and the realtor fee. Now that we finished calculating all the true costs of the projects, let's look at the ROI and how we should be calculating this. Okay, this is the best part. What's the formula for ROI? ROI simply means your profit divided by your required capital. Okay, so we talked about how much you need to put in for all the expenses, which is this part, 100 plus 98 plus 95,000. This is your profit, so we're not calculating in here. So all the expense is going to be, all the expense that you need to put towards your project is going to be 198.95K. Okay. There's additional capital that you need to prepare, which is your down payment. So now let's assume that we actually acquired this project for 751,000. So purchase price is 751K. And then we're using A lender, which means the down payment is 20% times 20%, which gives us times 0.2. 150.2K. This is the down payment that we need to put towards the project before we even close the property. Now, the total capital required capital is going to be 198.95 plus 150.2. So that's going to give us 349 0.15K. Okay, so when we're calculating the ROI, it's going to be profit 50K divided by 349.15 equals 14.32%. So guys, this is the formula that we use to actually calculate the ROI here. Now, if you're interested in getting the spreadsheet from us so that you can just kind of plug in the numbers and kind of run the numbers by yourself, comment below. My team will actually send you the sample so that you can kind of start playing around with the numbers. Now, you might be wondering if this is actually enough. 14.32% seems a little low. When you need to source a deal for 75% ARV, you have to go through the entire project, bleeding money, manage the renovation, and then make sure that you can sell the property to the projected value. So a lot of people might say, that's too much work for 14.32%. But I want you to actually think about a couple of things. One is, first of all, how much can you make, or how much is your return, is your ROI on the stock, mutual funds, and GIC? Okay, think about that a little bit. The second thing is, 14.32% is actually for the period of 6 months. Okay, if you can actually run 2 projects for the entire year, this gets double. So this can go up to 28%. If you can do it for 4 months, let's say if you're getting better and better at managing renovation, selling, sourcing, and make sure the timeline falls perfectly, then you can probably do 3. In some of our cases, we actually do 3 projects. One crew can turn 3 projects in a year. This will give us 42%. And keep in mind, a lot of numbers I'm running right now is extremely conservative, right? And also, if you can bring this down even further, negotiate a really good deal, pick up a project from the wholesaler, or even if you do the door knocking and actually get yourself in touch with the seller directly and then get it for 60% and make sure the profit goes up a little bit, then this number can easily double. Okay, another point I want to make is that this number, this calculation is based on all the professionals getting paid. Okay, what does that mean? That means if you find a contractor to help you with a renovation and you pay that 100K, you don't keep any of that money in your pocket. You're not saving on that, you're paying that out to the professional. If you're not a licensed agent and then you're using other agent to sell your property, you're not keeping that profit. So all of your profit, all of your work is paid, and then you still receive this type of return. That being said, if you can handle a bit of renovation by yourself, or you're a painter, or if you can handle the mortgage yourself, or sell the properties or buy the projects on your own, then you are going to really also make other money throughout the entire process, which is going to make your number much higher. And this is what our company does. Okay guys, that's it for this video. If you feel like you're getting some value out of this video, let us know, drop a comment below so that we can produce more videos like this. And don't forget to like, subscribe. We'll see you on the next one.